us, it was basketball players that wanted a premium basketball experience. For you, it's really thinking about all the different people that come to campus that want a great organizational experience. And then who's going to represent it for us? They're the young guns I mentioned earlier that are going to be those sports marketing assets we had to add to get younger, from Tatum to Zion to Kia Nurse, to being a globally thought of in terms of Luka and Rui and Gualin and the great events that occur. You have to align those up to get yourself younger and more globally relevant if you're going to really attack and take back the courts. And then from a product standpoint, what we're offering, all these different groups that are going to work with the product to help build that brief, that lightest, lowest shoe that we've ever made before, that's super premium. And the team that's going to work on it, right? Everybody works together all the way up to the product testing. And I'll get into this. This is where it gets fun with all the different iterations. And like I mentioned earlier, our industrial designers will work and have pages and pages of concepts. Once they know what we're really focused on building and what we're going to build to offer the consumer, they start really putting that into thought and how they incorporate all the different thoughts around innovation, how we make it lighter, lower. And these are just some of the sketches that go into actually creating a shoe. And then we look at all the different ways and iterations, and you start culling it down into fewer and fewer, and what you're going to incorporate and what's going to be the focus, and what's the innovation you put in. Does it have laces? Does it have different straps? Is the technology visible? All those fun things that you can make for the consumer, all of it having to be eye-catching that makes them want to come up to the wall and say, I can't wait to play in a shoe like that. Then we got to build it. We have to make sure this shoe is something that's buildable. It has to work, right? It has to be something that gives a great playing experience to the consumer, and you can have all of that done, but until you can actually build and work with your engineers in the factories, you really don't know. And you have to make sure that that innovation comes to life. So that's where I work in day to day, again, with a great, you can see the exploded version of the shoe with the plate, the zoom bags, the low to the ground, all the different innovation and technology that we bring to the product itself, all the way down to the details that we get to with the leather overlays, the branding, the boxing, the packaging, everything that it can come to really get to the what. And really, this is a slide where I thought I was at before, the storytelling, right? What you're offering your consumer, what you're offering out there when you're talking to people, what is the story you're going to tell about it? And with this shoe, with the Air Jordan 35, it really was this idea of negative space and almost this black hole type of look, where you're actually having that hole in the shoe that speaks to how much lighter you're making it. You're taking out weight, right? You're making it just this reductive story and making it lower. So having that storytelling that completely brings you to a place where that gets you finally to have that final product, which you bring to, and I'll share with you guys right now, the Air Jordan 35, the 35th installment of the greatest signature shoe line in footwear history. I'm super excited to share it with you and show it to you. It's really, this is what comes to the completion part of what we're offering to the consumer. All the insights, all the work, all the energy, what our athletes will be wearing. This is the product that comes to life, and some other shots of it. And I'm holding up, as you can see, an actual colorway of the shoe. So this launches later this October. It's exciting product, super premium, beautiful. This is actually a colorway for Rui Hachimura. He's going to be wearing this, was supposed to wear it during the Olympics. We all know what happened there, but you still keep working and designing for the athlete. So we're really excited about how the shoe came to life, and what we're offering our consumer felt like we really nailed it. But that's not it. It's then also the where, right? Big proposition for everybody how you're targeting your consumer and where you're going to bring this to life, whether it's in North America or whether it's in Greater China. I mentioned earlier, the largest basketball marketplace is China. They have over 300 million people that play basketball every day. They're loyal to the game. They love the game. They love innovation. They're passionate, and it's a place where you really can start to go, okay, how do we focus colorways of the product there to really bring that to life and tap into a whole new group of people to experience the Jordan product. In Europe, with what Luka can bring and those emerging markets that we bring as well. So the where and how you're searching for your consumer to drive basketball product to them is just as important. And finally, how do you communicate it, right? How are you going to communicate to people that you have something special and new? Well, it could be Instagram, where you have Jason Tatum posting about the new shoe. It could be during the NBA playoffs, which has been on foot from a number of our athletes. They're posting about it, talking about it, and it's even through things like collaborations. So the very first colorway is a collaboration with Fragment, which is one of our key accounts in Japan that focuses on innovation and premium nature. So of course we want to be associated with a brand like that on a great collab on the AJ35. So all of that comes to fruition, pulling it all together, all those different parts, which leads to the final communication and how we're going to talk to the consumer with this next video. So that's how it all came together. So hopefully that was exciting for you guys to be able to see how all of that work comes together, of the who, the what, the where, and the how, all of those different ways and parts and pieces that really help build your plan to take back the courts. So I wanted to kind of finish with a really good slide that can show you, hey, this is what we went through, and really related to what you're going through as well. So our goal was pretty clear. It was to take back the courts. Who represents you, who represents us, those global young guns, and how they're going to really show everybody where our brand is at and how we're a youthful basketball brand looking towards the future. You know, offering a premium performance product that's special, unique, innovative, and where we're looking, hey, targeting and looking at new places with new geos now that we have new assets and people that resonate in different types of marketplaces where we really can connect. And then whether it's on Instagram or YouTube or through athletes or collabs, how you're communicating and looking at different pathways to do that, super important. So we do that clearly when we're introducing product in the marketplace. It's no different than what you'll do. So for SigEp, I mean, really the question that Pat started this whole off with, growing your pipeline and recruiting more of the right people is the goal, right? How you decide on who represents you and what you go after, how you're going to really show what you're offering is really up to you, and where you're looking, that's up to you. How you communicate it, all those questions are really to be answered by you individually in your chapters and maybe sharing those ideas together. But it's real similar to what we go through on the business world. So I just want to really thank you guys. Really excited to have this opportunity. Sorry for the mix up. If you've been on Zoom enough, which I know you have, this stuff happens. But I'm still here. I'm passionate. I'm excited. I'm really can't wait for you guys to have a great recruitment year. And just want to make sure that you can see that if you're inspired a little bit by this, you can see what you're solving today will always serve you well. There's no excuses. We want to embrace the challenge. That's when innovation happens. Trying something new happens, and ultimately that success happens. So I know things are challenging, but stay after it. You have a lot of people that want to give you great resources. I know you can do it, and I know SigEp will continue to be the leaders that I've always grown to know them. Thanks, guys.
Awesome. Thank you, Darron, so much for sharing your insights and letting us into just your process and the Jordan Brand's process for a situation that all of our chapters and our VPRs are in terms of how do we really continue to be innovative, right, and navigate these times to continue to be successful. One quick note for everyone, if you have any questions, feel free to start to throw them in the chat, and I'm happy to kick it off with one first here. But in the meantime, as we're talking again, if you have any questions for Darron, please feel free to put them in the chat box now. This question, Darron, that I have for you. So had been having conversations with quite a few vice presidents of recruitment, some of them on this call, in terms of how they're working with their committee to really motivate not just the committee, but the whole chapter to continue to challenge the process and to be innovative in terms of how can we continue to grow our pipeline, find more top quality and the top guys on our campus. So question I have for you, any insights that you would share or pieces of advice for our vice presidents of recruitment in terms of how to best motivate a committee or a chapter to rally behind this sort of process?
Sure. It's not easy, right? I was in your seat a number of years ago, but I think one of the best ways to go about looking at changing your point of view, because I think recruitment's been done in a lot of chapters in a lot of ways the same for a number of years. So how do you start to get out of that and think differently? Well, there's nothing like a pandemic to change your point of view, right? So it may be a definite hurdle and a challenge, but it does open up new ways of thinking that maybe the chapter was scared to try before, and maybe new ways of connecting and reaching through not only your university and the ways that they're communing with students, but finding some of those new ways and trying some new things. So take advantage of it and really look at it as an opportunity. The other is, I think you expand your pipeline really by pulling up a little bit and not limiting yourself to just who has been coming to and who are the expected people that really come through normal recruitment. I said that purposely earlier about how you look at your consumer and people that want to be a part of your organization are people that just want to be part of a really great organization, whether it's fraternal or anything else. Because clearly the statistics will show a lot of the incoming freshmen are looking for a great leadership opportunity, right? SigEp is a lot of things. Amongst that is leadership. So lean into that. I think that's a really great opportunity that we give through great programming that we have, through how we treat each other, through organizations we tie to that we're connected with. Lean into being leaders, and that's a leadership organization. I think that'll serve you really well in opening a whole playing field of who's out there that we could recruit differently from who normally looks at themselves as a formal recruitment candidate.
Awesome. Thanks, Darron. Another question we have or got here in the chat. What Jordans are you wearing right now?
Well, I, as you can tell, I'm in the glamorous Beaverton, Oregon in my home office, so it's not really that exciting. Wish I could show you a view of campus and all the exciting parts of it. Pretty boring working from home, but I always, my number one shoe is always the AJ3. So the 3 is my do or die. It's a shoe I love the most. I couldn't even get the Fragment 3 that just came out last week, which I took the L on that, but that's okay. But I always will have Jordans on my feet, even at home. It's comfortable for me.
Thank you for that. Another question we have here: how has the release of The Last Dance helped with market share during the downtime in sports?
Boy, that's a really insightful question. The timing of that, sometimes things happen the way they're going to happen. You never know. That was actually supposed to launch in January and kept getting pushed back just due to getting enough interviews. So it launched at a time when there was just a complete dead period. There wasn't a lot of sports to watch. People were confined to their homes. And clearly I'm biased, but it was one of the best documentaries I think had ever been done. I learned so much from it, and we're paid to know a lot of this stuff already. I'm like, I didn't know that. I didn't realize that. But it absolutely gave really great visibility to the brand, to people that maybe didn't associate it with an actual athlete that played. So there's a lot of consumers today that never saw MJ play unless it's on YouTube. So it opened up to showing just what a competitor he was and why he deserves to have his own brand, for people to connect with him, not just as a logo, but as an actual athlete. And we've, really our earnings actually came out yesterday. The Jordan brand was up significantly in our second quarter. It drove a lot of great interest. So absolutely, it helps. We love to use our heritage, not as an anchor, but as something that it shows you where we're coming from to the future. So it wasn't just on retro product, it was on the new modern product as well. So it really was a nice lift.
Awesome. Thank you. And I think we've got time for one more question. Question I have here in the chat. So a bunch of chapters in our SigEp chapters are facing various flavors of what's called like an Abolish Greek life movement right now, where there's calling a lot of cries for Greek life to just cease and to not exist anymore. And as well as like focused on negative stereotypes. Have you faced any sort of headwind at Nike with similar scenarios where you're calling for, changes to your brand or your product and just the market that you're in? And how do you counter that, or how do you continue to market your products through that sort of adversity and challenge?
Yeah, it's a really good question, and I hate that that's what you're experiencing. I wish I could say that's new. On varying degrees, I think that's always been a challenge for getting people to truly see what we represent. You guys are so important. The recruitment VPs are super important because you manage the message. So you're the one that gets to go out there and really shape the narrative of what it means to be not only in a fraternity, but to be part of SigEp, which to me is bigger than being part of a fraternity. It's something even more special than that. So getting out there to really share and lean into what we're really good at to make sure people don't, would they associate you as being a leadership organization, or they look at you as just a fraternity? You're so much more than just a fraternity. I mean, you offer scholarship, you offer brotherhood, you offer so many other intangible things, but you offer an opportunity for people to grow as leaders. So I think constantly reshaping to people when you're speaking to them and leaning into that heavily, that, hey, we're a leadership organization. There are leaders that are all around our campus that want to join us, right? And that we want to have more of in our organization. We are leaders throughout the university, not just as SigEps in a fraternity. So yeah, we've experienced that for sure. I think everything that's going on in the world today, I mean, can't wait for 2020 to end. I think there's 100 and some days left. I'm not sure 21 is going to be better, but you can see just a lot of the social injustice. Every company is held to a higher standard. And I think we've definitely have been focusing on the Black community within our company. I work in Jordan, which is extremely diverse group. Nike in general could do better, honestly, in total. So we've obviously faced rightful scrutiny and things that we could change, but also we shared. We weren't scared to stand up and say, hey, look, here's where we're at. Here's the numbers that we have. Here's the acceleration for talent with our organization. You don't back down from when people are criticizing you, because they'll use up all the oxygen in the room. Get out there and be proud that you're leaders. Show them how you're leaders and show them how you're more than just a fraternity.
Awesome. Thank you, Darron, for answering those questions. And thank you. And I know didn't get time to get to all the questions, but guys, I appreciate you throwing those in the chat box. Want to give a huge thank you again, Darron, for your time tonight and sharing your insights and professional experiences at Nike. Really fortunate to have you, and I really appreciate it.
It's my pleasure, Pat. And clearly I'll keep working on my Zoom content focus. See, we all can get better, fellas. That's what you can learn from this. Doesn't always go as smoothly as you want. But just know that from the heart, I'm with you guys. I really hope you have success. Hopefully this just opens up you to thinking differently, trying some new things. You'll be amazed at what can happen, because there's definitely, going through what the whole world has gone through, there's things that are going to change how we function just as human beings for the rest of our lives. You can look at that and how the fraternity operates as well, and you can be the trailblazers that set those new types of processes and experiences. So go after it, get after it. Let's invite a lot of new great SigEps to enjoy the experiences that we all love. So take care.